This video is called Creating a New Photo Match, and it is all about using SketchUp 6's new feature called Photo Match, actually. The name of the feature is changing to Match Photo, or Create a Matched Photo, or whatever you want to call it. But basically, it's the same thing. First step you do, first of all, backing up, the idea of this feature is to be able to use a photograph that you've taken and create a model from it, sort of like what you do with the texture tweaker, but actually in a much cooler way. Or you can also take a model that you've made and then place it sort of in a photograph of the site that you'd have. I'm only going to cover the first part in this video because they're sort of complex enough, so I'm going to kind of get to the second one if I can. But for this video I'm going to talk about importing a picture as a photo match picture, and then kind of setting everything up to start building from it. Okay, so let's do that. First of all, I'm going to maybe, actually in this case, you know what I'm going to do is leave Bryce in this one, because I actually think he's useful for doing photo matches. Okay, I'm going to go up to the camera menu, and I'm going to choose New Photo Match right here. And once I do that, it's going to let me kind of look around on my hard drive. I've chosen this picture of a barn that I'd like to use as a photo match, and what you're going to see is all the, I call it techno spaghetti, but basically, I'm not going to lie, it's actually very intimidating. Look, you've got red stuff and a blue line and red lines and green lines and all kinds of stuff happening here. If you need help, you can look down here in the lower left corner of the screen. It says Move Grips to locate vanishing points. The trouble is, none of it's very clear. Right here, we've got the photo match dialog box. And there are kind of 3 modes, and there's a whole bunch of switches and things. It's not very easy to figure out what's going on. Once you know what to do, though, it's actually not so bad. So let's kind of go over some parts of the photo match user interface here, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you need to do to set things up to use photo match. Okay, so first of all, this is the photo. You can see the photo is kind of the barn is kind of behind everything here. All of these colored lines and dots and things are basically for matching the perspective of your camera, let's say, in SketchUp to the camera that was used to take the picture that you're using in Photo Match. So when we're done with all of this process, we're going to be standing in SketchUp in the same spot that the photographer, in this case me, was standing when he, in this case, took the picture of the barn that we're looking at right here. Okay? This scene tab up here we're going to get to a little bit, but basically that's created when you create a new photo match. And by hitting that, you can come back to seeing the photo and being in this view whenever you want to. The last part of the user interface is the photo match dialog box. If I turn on and off photo, you'll see the photo comes on and off. If I turn it on and off model, nothing much is happening. Bryce is disappearing because he's the only part of the model that we have right now. We don't have a model yet. I'm going to turn off maybe grid. You'll see that it's on auto right now, and we don't really need to know what that means right now. I'll just leave it on for now. And then there's 3 style grids here. Basically, use this one on the far left if you're doing an inside scene. So if you're trying to use Photo Match to build the inside of a room that you've taken a photo of, choose this one. This one is if you're kind of above and outside something, like if you were building a coffee table, or I think the example is a pool table in the book. This one that we're going to use is kind of the default, and it's basically kind of the architecture one. I've taken a picture, I'm standing outside the thing that I want to build with Photo Match, and that's kind of the one that I want to choose. It's called Outside. It's on the far right on the Photo Match dialog box. And then I'm not going to worry about these planes right now. It doesn't really interest me. What I'm going to do is just minimize the Photo Match dialog box. Now let's dive in here. Okay. What we've got is a bunch of stuff actually that we don't need, but let's just use the stuff we do need right now. These grips here, these 2 green bars, are called the vanishing point bars. And what I need to do is line them up by watch. I'm going to click and drag, and then I'm going to zoom. I'm going to zoom very liberally here. I'm going to zoom all the time so that I can see exactly what I'm doing. So let's kind of grab this guy and line that up just like this. I'm trying to be as precise as I can, but also go quickly. There's that line. So you notice how in the photograph there's this edge of the barn's roof. What I've done is I've matched this green bar to that edge. Okay. Now I need another edge that's parallel to that edge, and it looks like this edge of the barn's roof is actually also parallel. So let's just match up one of these green lines exactly to this edge. And again, I'm going to zoom so I can see a little bit more of what I'm doing. Just like that. And let's kind of put it right here. That's good. Okay. And then what I need to do is I need to find two edges that are completely perpendicular to the two edges I matched. So in this case, this angle on the barn I know is a 90-degree angle, meaning any of these edges that are running back this way are perpendicular to these edges. So let's kind of use these two red bars to do that. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to match things up. As I zoom in, kind of go there and there we go. And we've got one more to do. So I'm going to take this and kind of throw it there as accurately as I can. And then I'm going to take this guy over here, and I'm just going to kind of line it up along this edge. Kind of hard to see what you're doing unless you zoom. So again, zoom in, just like that. Okay, so what I've done is I've matched up my red bars to my edges in my thing. And now what I can do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to clear on this, I'm going to click on the yellow square, and I'm going to move the yellow square around, which is basically moving my axis origin. So you know in a blank SKETCHUP file where the red, green, and blue axes come together? That's the origin, and that's what I'm repositioning here. What I like about leaving Bryce in is that he kind of comes along with this. And what I'm going to do is just reposition that exactly down at the corner of the building right here, just like that. And that's really all there is to it. I'm just going to double check to make sure things are lined up the way I want them to be. Okay, so the two green bars are lined up against two parallel edges. The two red bars are lined up on parallel edges that are perpendicular to the ones that the green bars are lined up on. And my axis origin is right down here, kind of at a convenient spot on the building. It's right here in the foreground. The last thing I have to do is use this blue bar. I'm just kind of clicking and dragging on the blue bar. And now, if you look over here in the Photo Match dialog box, it says the spacing on that blue bar is 5 feet. That's fine. If I knew that this barn was, I don't know, 25 feet high, something like that, I would just make sure I'm going to kind of eyeball it so that those green lines, I have about 5 of them to the top of the barn. But again, it really doesn't matter to do this right now. So I'm just going to say, okay, that's about right. Really what I'm doing is I'm watching Bryce. I know that Bryce isn't that big, and I know Bryce isn't that big. I know he's about, I don't know, that big. So I'm just going to kind of leave him there like that, and I'm kind of happy with it there. I'm going to go into the Photo Match dialog box, and now that I like everything, I'm going to say done, just like that, and then kind of get rid of that Photo Match dialog box. And you'll see that what I have is nothing, basically. I have a photo in the middle of my screen. Bryce is in there. I've got a line tool just like I did. I have this scene tab, but fundamentally I'm just kind of ready to start modeling here. We're going to cover that in the next video though. So that is the end of creating a new photo match for Chapter 7 of Google SketchUp for Dummies.